What's going on? You recording?
I am recording now, yeah, and
Hmm.
I'll edit this and send it to you, make sure in case you say
Oh, that's
anything,
cool.
really stupid.
Yeah, I imagine that.
So that's kind of. I think me and you met in Shreveport for the first time, right? Wasn't it the first time we met, or?
Oh, we met. I showed up at a picket line coyote show at Humphreys. It was probably 1986, and yeah, and it blew my mind. I'd
Yeah,
never seen anything like that before, and
yeah,
I was completely captivated by the picket line coyotes.
yeah.
And you guys, I was like, I've got to get to know these guys. You know,
Yeah, right.
and there's something happened. I remember there's a period of time that every picket line coyote show I went to, at some point my head ended up bleeding. You know, and and it was like there's always blood on the back of my head in a coyote show because something happened. And but it changed my life forever.
Mhm.
And then I moved back to Shreveport after that. And that was in '88 to do medical school, and that's when we started hanging out more. We did the Spiegelmans. You remember that with
Of course.
Giblin, and we did that.
Yeah,
I would just anything I could do
yeah,
to be around that.
yeah. That sort of changed my musical direction doing the
Right.
Spiegelman thing, which was Adam was driving that. Really, it was his
Yeah.
idea because he'd picked up the mandolin, and
Hmm.
that's kind of what stirred my interest in playing the mandolin is hanging out with Adam,
Right.
listening to him to play Talking Head songs on the mandolin.
And and Neil Young. Yeah, it was great.
So the Spiegelman thing really changed my trajectory. Playing with you and playing with that group, it, I was already headed that way from listening to Carter Family and Jimmy Rogers stuff like
Yeah.
that. That
Yeah.
really changed my mind about music, and that's where I
I
started to head that way.
and I've always thought that if the Picket Line Coyotes could have ever covered Single Girl, Marry Girl, I tried to get Curly Wolf to do it, but everyone
Oh,
just,
really?
yeah. What a great rock and roll cover. Yeah, I was I started to do my internship here, and
Yeah,
you being here and the Coyotes being here definitely had an influence on how I
of
decided
course.
to show up here. I remember that was a dark time for you because
Yeah,
I remember a lot of times when you were like, I just don't think I can do this anymore. It's
yeah,
embarrassing. It's like no one
hmm,
appreciates it. It's so much work.
yeah,
And it was like Dan Nugent and I were like, you're like cheerleaders. You can't quit. You can't quit. You got to
yeah,
do it.
yeah,
And it was
yeah.
amazing. It was such an amazing transition of going from those genres like that. And I think the
Mhm.
Grackles, when we did that, was kind of like that bridge in between the
Yeah,
Gore Coyotes,
definitely,
and it
definitely.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to point out, yeah, is that that was a crucial step towards the Gourds, and my my musical life changing. So thank you for going
Oh, man,
through
it
on that
was.
journey with
Um,
me.
I mean, I studied you. It was so,
Yeah,
and there was this moment. It's like, wow, I could maybe write songs,
yeah,
you know,
right.
do that.
Yeah,
And
I
then
could
we
do
and then
this.
we then we started doing
Uh huh.
the Chicago House, and just watching you and the way that you craft a song, it gave me the confidence that
Right,
to start doing the Curly Wolf stuff and writing and doing all
right.
this. It was a gift. It was such a great time.
Yeah, it was a great time. Chicago House. Yeah, what great memories there, man.
Yeah.
That was a really
And
special
that house
time.
on was it on Mary or Annie Street? Is that where you
Mhm.
lived?
Yeah, we lived at 602 West Annie.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I got to show the people here is that maybe our one and only
Band photo.
band photo was taken in front of what is known as
Yeah.
the. Can you see that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, that's the, ladies and gentlemen, that's the wall where everybody takes the "Wish You Were Here" postcard wall
Yeah,
in Austin. We took our picture in front of that wall before anybody else,
right.
so
That's
we
right.
have rights.
We have rights to that. And that was our take on the American Gothic painting.
It was. It was our.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I listened back, I stumbled onto that recording that we did with Charlie Llewellyn at that
Uh-huh.
little studio, and it was live to 2-track DAT. So it was just
Yeah.
like sit up and play. And your voice and your range on that was just unreal. I mean, those songs were fantastic. And
Yeah.
we worked hard. I remember I'd work these like 24-hour shifts at the hospital, and then I would show up at your house and we'd practice for 6 hours. And
Yeah. We
oh,
just sit around. So yeah. So I had Jimmy and Rob and people like talking about, hey man, you really need to like focus on your thing. I think you're doing with Ron's cool, but man, you need to do something. Blah blah blah. Everybody was like pushing me, and I was like,
yeah.
okay, yeah, all right. I guess I need to move on. I don't know. So me and you parted ways, and we agreed to just do our own thing. And
Yeah.
and then it wasn't long before Rob was in a band with you. I was like, Rob, I thought you said with Keith, my
Right.
my girlfriend's my fiance's brother.
Right.
Okay, and Tim, who's great, Tim
Yeah.
Kiner, and so and then y'all play like one gig and you get a record deal.
Right. It was a horrible gig. It was a horrible gig.
at
We played
at
at the Outhouse.
Outhouse, Austin
Yeah.
Outhouse.
And
Yeah.
I just remember Rob with an SM57 in his mouth, laying on the ground, right, playing guitar and screaming into it. And Keith was like going, "That's it. I'm not doing this band thing anymore." But
Yeah.
we had this demo tape
Mhm.
with Charlie, and it got into Jeff Cole's hands, and he had this new record label at the time. It was called Doolittle, that later became New West. As what's funny is a couple of years ago, New West released this big anthology of all their stuff, and there's a Curly Wolf song.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But yeah, the Curly Wolf thing was fun. It was 3 different songwriters, and I liked that whole taking the pressure off of it. And it seemed like we just wanted to play some bars, and we had a demo, and it ended up in the right hands. And we were not ready at all or talented enough to have a record deal, but we just,
So, but from my perspective, like I'd been slogging all these years just trying to get a record deal. I could not get a record deal. Ladies and gentlemen, you understand what I'm saying? I don't know.
but the evolution is so good. If you to hear the Coyotes and then hear the Grackles and the Gorge, and then kind of what you've done with Shiner Road,
And now here we are doing it again, pandemic world, and I'm recreating myself, and I love it. I'm probably more musically happy right now than I have been in a few years, just because
yeah,
I'm
it sounds
creative and changing, So
So I had an interesting experience. So my kids were home from school during the pandemic, and my youngest was graduating from college, and he was an engineering major, but he decided to take a songwriting class, right?
hmm
And which was kind of, oh, that's cool. His instruments, he can play guitar and cello and stuff. And he took it, and we were in the pandemic, and he had to write some songs and send it in, remotely. And so I got out some old recording gear that I had saved, and we recorded a track or two. And I had this, and so even after One Mississippi quit playing, which is probably about 8 or 10 years ago, for the past decade, I would still just write riffs and write parts of songs and bits and just save it. It's like one day I may want to do this again.
Yeah.
And so we wrote a song together it turned out really cool. So that got me fired up. So I dusted all that stuff up and got some updated gear for cheap. And so I started recording again.
Yes,
So-
yes.
So I've
That's
got
the best thing I've heard, man.
yeah,
I'm so
I've
happy.
I've got 100. It's like I've got 100 of these songs on the computer, and so I've been recording, and it's been so much.
God,
So,
I
yeah.
cried. I'm so happy.
You want
to
to
hear
cry?
that.
Yeah.
I
No, it's
love it,
good.
man.
You'll
Dude.
hear it.
Beautiful. Because you know, I felt like you turned away from music for a while, and I knew you live your life. You're a busy man, so but
But so much,
I was
yeah,
always hoping like Ron, you would get back to music because I
yeah,
know you love it. So
I love it. All right, hey, you have a great evening.
yeah, brother, love
Hope
you.
the kids. It's a great time. Love you too. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay,
Bye
all
bye.
right.